Grand Theft Auto 4 is like the awkward middle child between two of the most beloved and successful games of all time. Grand Theft Auto San Andreas was released in October of 2004, just a month after I was born, and even though I was obviously way too young to experience it in the moment, I have always been familiar with this game just because of its immense cultural impact. San Andreas was the best-selling game on the best-selling console of all time. Its characters, its world, its music have all remained relevant in pop culture in a way that very few games from its time has.
I'll have two number 9s. A number 9 Lord, you picked the wrong house, fool. All we had to do was follow the damn train, CJ.
My friends and I would quote lines like these at school all the time, long before I ever played the game myself, let alone before I even knew who Big Smoke was. I think it's pretty safe to say that GTA San Andreas will always be lovingly remembered as the icon that it continues to be. And then, yada yada, 4 years later, GTA 4 comes out, it's a great time, cousin Niko, let's go bowling. And then, 5 years later, boom, GTA 5 comes out. Grand Theft Auto 5 is the biggest, grandest, theftest, autoist game of all time. The 5 in GTA 5 stands for the 5 billion copies that it sold. GTA 5 is the most successful media product of all time. This game was, and still is, everywhere on YouTube. Everyone was playing the online mode. It was huge. I don't need to tell you how big of a deal GTA 5 is. But of course, it goes without saying, the bigger that something grows, so does the shadow that it casts. So let's just take a step back for a second, okay? Put yourself in the shoes of a kid my age that had my experiences. So I grew up hearing about GTA San Andreas from friends at school who probably had older siblings who grew up with the game. And the next thing you know, we're talking about the newest game in the series, which was GTA 5. So I played GTA 5, I eventually get the game myself, I grow older, and one day I realized I have literally never even thought about GTA 4. And of course I'm aware of it, obviously it exists, but I just never heard people talk about it the same way they talk about a game like Vice City or GTA San Andreas, GTA 3 that came out years and years beforehand. This game was huge at the time. It's a GTA game, of course it was. It still has its fans today, and of course there are hundreds of long YouTube video essays about this game. I understand that people know about this game, but to someone like me, it just doesn't seem to have left the same cultural impact as other games in the series have. If you've seen my videos before, you probably know I'm a little bit of a Rockstar fanboy, so earlier this year I finally took the time to play through GTA 4. The biggest thing that sets Red Dead Redemption 2 apart from GTA 5 is Sincerity. Like any Rockstar game, there is some parody and satirization in Red Dead's America, but it's used so sparingly to uphold the story and messages of the game without being intrusive. Unlike Grand Theft Auto 5, which is constantly using store names, billboards, websites, NPC conversations, radio stations as a vehicle to tell a joke. Every GTA game has satire and parody and immature jokes. This is like nothing new at all, but I think GTA 5 might take it a little bit too far sometimes. It just really makes it hard for me to immerse myself in this world when every 5 seconds I'm subjected to another haha look a swear word joke. So on the scale of Red Dead's Sincerity and GTA 5's Satire, I think GTA 4 lands a little bit closer to the Cowboys. You do still get parodies of things like everywhere, of course, but it's used much more sparsely. I mean, just look at GTA 4's version of Times Square. It's a little bit silly, but it's still pretty believable. I mean, you could so easily imagine what this would look like with GTA 5's attitude. And this level of sincerity and self-control when it comes to the jokes makes Liberty City one of the most immersive and believable cities in any video game to this day. Liberty City is one of the smaller Grand Theft Auto maps, but it makes up for it in its immense level of detail. The city often begs you to slow down and just walk through its concrete jungle to soak in all of this detail. And it's in these slower moments that you pick up on all the things that make Liberty City feel so real. And a large chunk of that feeling is owed to the NPCs that you'll pass by. People wait at red lights before crossing the street. People carry shopping, read the newspaper, talk on the phone while walking by. Police officers can often be seen just walking around the streets, and those police officers can be seen arresting people and escorting them into a service vehicle. People peer into the shop's windows. People will be loading the back of their cars. You'll see street sweepers and construction men at work. Niko can just whistle and call a taxi cab passing by really realistically, and he can watch the world go by from the back seat. Not only does GTA 5 lack a lot of this variety in NPC activity, but it also feels like it just heavily discourages walking around on foot. If you've ever tried to just slow down and immerse yourself in Los Santos by walking through the streets as a pedestrian, you'll know it gets boring really quickly. You will be spending 90% of that game in a car. Maybe this difference between the two games has nothing to do with Grand Theft Auto, and it just speaks for the walkability in New York and Los Angeles in real life. Basically, all I'm saying is that Liberty City just feels like the perfect setting for an immersive GTA game. But above all, most importantly, Liberty City is very, very grey. Grand Theft Auto 4 tells a gritty story centered around revenge that very rarely ends well for its protagonists, and the atmosphere of the game really sells that idea. The music suits that really well, the colors suit that really well. Grand Theft Auto 4 has a very monochromatic palette. When this game is feeling grey, everything is grey. When the sun rises and sets, everything turns a really nostalgic, beautiful orange. And on a sunny, clear day, the city wears an optimistic blue tint. Some people don't like how drab and grey the game can be, but just like the music, the colors, whatever time of day it might be, suit this game and its story and its atmosphere really, really well. It's also pretty easy to forget that at that time, having a dulled out, dark and gritty game was pretty trendy.
Maybe that is no excuse. Roman? Roman! Are you sleeping, you fat fuck? Come on!
To me, Grand Theft Auto 4 feels best interpreted as an episodic show. There are overarching goals and antagonists that are established pretty early on, but not everything that you'll do in the game will directly contribute to those goals. Niko picks up so many loose threads and ties them together as you progress towards the big main goal at the end. What each mission does do, however, is establish connections. You don't really realize this in the moment, but in retrospect, it's pretty easy to appreciate how cleverly all the connections are between characters in this game. Right at the end of the game, Niko is trying to get revenge on a washed-up mafia boss, Mr. Jimmy Pegorino, who Niko used to work for as a hired gun. But Niko only knows Mr. Pegorino because they both know Ray Bacino, who Niko worked for to do a big diamond job. And Niko only knows Ray Bacino because he and Packy both did work for him somewhere in the middle of the game. But Niko only knows Packy because they both work for Elisabetta, who is one of Mallory's childhood friends, and Mallory is Roman's girlfriend, and Roman is Niko's cousin, and it all comes back to Niko. This probably sounds super confusing if you haven't played the game, but all these connections are established so gradually throughout the game. I mean, when I was rewatching cutscenes for this video, I was surprised to see Packy in this party scene because I was just so used to him and Niko being bros. I forgot they obviously had to meet at some point. Just about every character in GTA 4 can be placed on a social web that can be drawn back to Roman or Niko, and that just makes this game feel so grounded. This is another thing that I think is just lost in GTA 5's ambition. Franklin has his own connections, Michael has his own connections, Trevor has his own connections, and they do overlap in interesting ways. There's kind of so many characters that I don't really care about half of them, I don't really know half of them, and when two characters who wouldn't normally be together are together, I'm just like, of course they know each other. Why wouldn't they know each other? It's like, I don't even think about it. But there is absolutely no shortage of memorable characters in Grand Theft Auto 4. Your first girlfriend, Michelle, who turned out to be a Fed, the roid-pushing fast car Brucey, the wise and miserable ex-convict Dwayne, the crooked cop Francis, the coked-out Scary Forsten, the one lady who works at this specific internet cafe who's just always happy to see Niko whenever you come in. An absolute peak gaming is Little Jacob. Little Jacob is the MVP, the GOAT, the OG. Little Jacob is best girl. I'm sorry. And not to mention, on top of all that, Niko himself is just such a likable, witty character.
No, don't be like that. We can find a way out of this. Bunch of idiot Russians.
I will kill every one of them.
No, that's exactly what you won't do.
You've probably noticed this, but when retrospectively discussing Grand Theft Auto 4, it's kind of hard not to compare it to GTA 5 with all the changes that they have between them. Of course, the majority of changes are for the better, as is the case with most good sequels, but not every change is so black and white on whether it's better or not. The driving experience and vehicle handling is one particular divisive topic. When you spend a lot of time driving in GTA 5 and getting good at it, coming back to GTA 4 feels so sluggish and heavy and stiff. The handling and suspension model in GTA 4 is meant to loosely mimic reality. You just can't take a turn at Mach 10 in this game. That would be stupid. But if you've been playing a lot of GTA 5, you've probably forgotten how to brake. And the funny thing is, GTA 4 isn't really realistic either. I played a lot of Gran Turismo and Forza recently, and while those games aren't perfect, they make Grand Theft Auto 4 feel much more forgiving. And then going from that to GTA 5, the driving in GTA 5 just feels ridiculous. Every car in GTA 5, especially sports cars, just feel like weightless toys. I think GTA 4's biggest advantage is its immense feeling of weight and momentum, which is, thanks to its amazing physics engine. When you do eventually pick up speed in Grand Theft Auto 4, it feels dangerous. It feels like sudden movements could be lethal. Like serious damage could happen. And all of this combined makes the driving experience of GTA 4 just feel so engaging at all times. You need to be paying attention, otherwise your car's gonna end up upside down. The other glaring difference between GTA 4 and 5 is the difficulty. GTA 4 isn't difficult mechanically like a Souls game might be. Its difficulty comes from how punishing it is. The biggest and most obvious difference is the complete lack of checkpoints. And that means that there are some missions where if you get an unlucky streak where you just keep losing for whatever reason, you will have to make the same long drive across the map over and over and over again, which just really hammers how some of the mission design is a little lazy. It's stuff that you wouldn't even notice, but because you have to do it over and over and over again, it makes it stick out like a sore thumb. There are also very rarely healing items in missions, and if there are any at all, you have to look to find them. If an NPC just randomly locks in and erases half of your health bar, you just have to deal with that and cross your fingers for the rest of the mission. And on top of all that, every single time you die, you lose a chunk of your money and all the resources you used along with it. So if you keep dying in the same mission over and over and over again, not only will you eventually run out of bullets, but when you go to the store to buy more bullets or guns or whatever, you might find yourself with no cash left at all. And you'll just have to buy really crap guns, which just makes the mission even harder, which means you're more likely to fail it again. And this is just like so artificially difficult. Like, it's not actually hard, it's just frustrating. Like, by the end of the mission, you don't feel like you actually earned it. It's just so crushing when you finish a mission and you get like 10,000 bucks as a reward, but you lost 50,000 in the process. Like I said before, it's not really mechanically difficult, so if you're really struggling and stuck on a mission, you can usually get by if you just slow down and play super carefully. But I would be lying if I said there wasn't just a bunch of random shit that happened in missions that caused me to start them over and over and over again. Rockstar might have overcorrected with GTA 5. You get a checkpoint every 2 seconds in that game, but I would much rather have way too many checkpoints than none at all. Just don't waste my time. Finally, in conclusion, to answer the big question, is GTA 4 really the best game in the series? I don't know. It depends what you're looking for. If you're just looking for a quality, dumb, fun game with low stakes, then GTA 5 is perfect. You can do pretty much anything you want to do in that game with little to no struggle. But if you're looking for an immersive, gritty crime game with a better story, in my opinion, then Grand Theft Auto 4 is your best pick. I love both games for different reasons, and I'm so happy that I've finally gotten around to Grand Theft Auto 4. And if you think one of these three is the best in the series, then you're probably like chill as hell, a little bit nostalgic, but I mean, I can't argue, like, the radio stations in these games are absolute like peak, so I respect your opinion. Anyways, write a comment about your top 5 bowling moments with Roman. Thank you so much for listening. I really appreciate your time. Cheers. Goodbye. Thank you. Goodbye.
Sarah, please come to me tonight.
I'm all out of hope. One more bad dream.
Hey, ride with my chopper. Hey, I'ma beat him like his father.